Right, well, moving forward from my video the other day where I talked about Star Wars Battlefront and the microtransactions within it and the problems I had with those microtransactions, I wanted to look at EA and their future and the way in which they seem to be wanting to implement microtransactions more across the board in their games. And I want to start off by looking at FIFA. And any of you guys who don't play FIFA, stick with me because this isn't specifically about FIFA. I just think that FIFA is a good illustration here. And like a lot of people, I do play FIFA every year, and like a mug every year I buy the new version with the upgraded rosters and a few graphical tweaks, but very little else. Now, some of you guys who do play FIFA may get your panties in a pickle over this one because you're invested in Ultimate Team. And for those of you who don't know, Ultimate Team is the mode whereby you can buy packs and create a team in effect. And a lot of people spend a lot of money on this. And I felt for an awful long time that Ultimate Team was the perfect example of monetary considerations being put front and center in the development. And despite myself, despite how crap I am at the game, despite all the problems with shit and inconsistent AI, John Terry sprinting past Theo Walcott springs to mind when you're playing against the computer, I actually really enjoy FIFA. And as you probably realise, I'm crap at it, but I do. I enjoy the game. Why else would I be such a mug as to buy it every year? But there is a big problem with FIFA. EA has quite literally taken its eye off the ball as regards the core development of the game. It's so bloody preoccupied with the cash cow that is the Ultimate Team that the other elements of the game, you know, the elements that used to be what the game was all about, seem to be suffering. Take the AI that I mentioned just a minute ago, for instance. A lot of people have suggested that the game is scripted in some way, that it's weighted to prevent the player doing well against the computer. EA have denied this, but I don't actually think it matters that much whether it's actually scripted or not, because it feels like it's scripted. When you play the game, it feels like it's cheating against you. And it feels like they've taken a lazy approach to making the game harder, rather than looking at making the AI more intelligent and making it work better within the game. So that you could get big scorelines, but it's difficult to do when you're playing against the computer for good reason, and not just because it's scripted so that the computer suddenly becomes more able or something when you're doing well, which is what a lot of people feel. And that's what it feels like to me when I'm playing the game. There's something utterly wrong with the way it's set up. And as I said, you know, John Terry should never be able to sprint past Theo Walcott. Well, not unless Theo Walcott's got a broken leg. There's no reason why I should be making complaints like this in 2017. EA has the resources and the manpower to create a game that's a challenge. It can be challenging, but fair. It can be a game that rewards good play, in which case I probably would never win, but at least it would be fair. But EA doesn't bother. And why don't they bother? Well, there's any number of reasons why that could be. It could be pure laziness, arrogance, complacency. You know, after all, they've had the video game football market pretty much sewn up for, what, a decade? There is Pro Evolution Soccer from Konami, of course, but let's be honest, they have very little of the market share compared to FIFA. And, you know, that's partly because EA can splash the cash and buy up all the rights, and so Konami can't really compete on that front. I don't actually think that arrogance or complacency are the main reasons for taking their eye off the ball, though. I actually think that EA probably are guilty of laziness, complacency and arrogance. But I just think that they're so busy concentrating on the Ultimate Team and trying to market it to us that they literally don't care about the core game anymore. At least not as anything other than a way of getting us to play Ultimate Team. Look at the way the emphasis has shifted over the last few years. It's all about Ultimate Team now. Those of us who aren't interested in it and want to play offline, seasons or even online seasons or any other part of the game are all but ignored. And yeah, I know people are going to say, oh, but they added the journey. And yes, they did. But let's be honest, it's little more than a training mode. And again, a way of marketing the game to people who aren't interested in Ultimate Team. Because even if somebody only takes a look at Ultimate Team out of curiosity, and if they only ever buy 1 pack or 2 packs and then decide that Ultimate Team's not for them, that's 1 more sale or 2 more sales and another tick in the sales ledger. And that brings me to the next question. Why don't EA care about the core game anymore? Why has the emphasis shifted to Ultimate Team? And I think the answer speaks for itself. It's one of the oldest motivations out there. Greed. Pure, unadulterated greed. Ultimate Team now makes EA somewhere in the region of 800 million a year in net revenue. Yep, you heard me. 800 million a year. All from a mode that is built from the ground up to rely on monetized microtransactions. Wouldn't you change focus if you were making that much money? I think I might. But this gets even more concerning when you consider what EA are planning to do moving forward. EA have had plans to bring microtransactions to all of their games for some time now. And in fact, in a Eurogamer article back in 2013, they were already talking about it. And they'd actually already released a game. Dead Space 3 came out in February of 2013, and it did include microtransactions. Now, I haven't played Dead Space 3 for some time, and I only dabbled with it. I'm not even sure that I bought it. So I can't really comment on the microtransactions that were in that game, but it did cause a little bit of a stir at the time, and there was some pushback. So, it's nothing new. They've wanted to get these money-making mechanics into games for years. And here's what they said in the article to Eurogamer in 2013. We're building into all our games the ability to pay for things along the way, either to get to a higher level, to buy a new character, to buy a truck, a gun, whatever it might be. Consumers are enjoying and embracing that way of the business. Are they really? As I said, at the time there was pushback. But the landscape has changed since 2013. A lot of younger gamers seem to accept the principle of microtransactions. Why, I don't know, but they seem to. And they even go so far as to defend the practice. I noticed this in a couple of the comments on my recent Battlefront 2 video, and, well, frankly, it didn't surprise me. The shit people will defend in this industry never surprises me anymore. It's insane, but that's another video. As I say, EA have been trying to shoehorn microtransactions into games for some years now. And I quote again, the ability to get to a higher level by paying for it has become a reality with Star Wars Battlefront 2. Okay, to whatever level, we don't really know that yet, but we do know that EA want to do it. But it gets even worse. In an article in Gamesindustry.biz, EA CFO Blake Jorgensen has said that EA want to bring Ultimate Team to other games. So they want to have Ultimate Team in games other than FIFA and their sports franchises. This is what he said. Like Battlefield or Battlefront, our Star Wars game, which are very similar in the depth of play, we can possibly add a similar mechanic to that. We spend a lot of time thinking about it. Not for tomorrow, but over the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot more of that in our portfolio. And, well, I find that concerning. What's the saying? Be afraid, be very afraid. They want to bring Ultimate Team type mechanics to Battlefront and Battlefield and any other game that they can shoehorn it into. And as I said, I have a real problem with Ultimate Team. I have a real problem with the idea of a mechanic that constantly encourages you to spend more money in order to be competitive. When you get to that point, this ceases being video games. It starts being gambling, or at least tantamount to gambling. It really is quite concerning to me. As I've already said, the introduction of Ultimate Team to FIFA and its financial success has been responsible for EA shifting its focus away from the aspects of the game that got people playing the game in the bloody first place. Ask yourself this: if Ultimate Team and that type of gameplay comes to other games and is successful, what do you think will happen to the core elements of those games? Will they improve? Or will the focus shift to the more lucrative parts of the development? Will Battlefield Ultimate Team become the core of the game? Will Battlefront Ultimate Team become the core of the game? Because I think I know what the answer to that is. If you're going to make 800 million a year on something, you're going to focus on that. To be fair to EA, they're not the only ones doing this, and I shouldn't really be singling them out. The whole industry is looking to employ these kind of techniques to maximise profit, and you can understand it to some extent. These AAA games cost a fortune, so of course they're going to want to maximise profit. But this greed-motivated shift towards game-altering microtransactions is going to ruin many games in the coming months and years, to the point where many games will become, well, frankly unplayable to anyone who isn't prepared to throw money at them. If you don't believe me, take a look at the free-to-play market and the games like World of Tanks. I won't play World of Tanks anymore. I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. These games are pay to win. And if we don't do something as gamers to stop it, many of the AAA games that are going to be coming out in the future will follow the same model. The financial incentives are just too tempting for it not to happen. If you think it's not going to happen, you are probably living in cloud cuckoo land. But hey, you know, I might be wrong, as ever. There's always a chance that I could be wrong, probably quite a big chance. So come and tell me what you think in the comments, and we can have a chat about it. But the way I feel at the moment, I can't see me buying many AAA games in the future if this is the way they're going. Anyway, that's me done. I will speak to you in the next one. Bye.